I mean, everybody's heard of the term terroir, and it got overused, but it's still got a lot of value. But what terroir never took into consideration, I would say, is the human element. I know I'm going to say a few things I'm sure some of you have heard before, but I'll go over it anyway. I think the best winemakers in the world are the ones that manipulate wines the least, that don't intervene too greatly. Part of what we're going to talk about today is our effort to try to be as true as you can be to a location, a site. Wine making, unlike beer making or distilled products, is about location, where they are not as location sensitive. If you want to, host next door to us wants to make a creek beer, they can. They can buy their barley and hops. And one of the things they're trying to achieve is that if they make it this year, that next year it's going to be the same. And the year after that it's going to be exactly the same as well. Now there is a bit of a movement in microbrewing to allow for some change, which is kind of a new thing, and I think sort of interesting, and you may see some of it if anybody's in Toronto. There are a couple of breweries in Toronto trying to achieve this, but it's certainly a component of winemaking. Part of the allure, joy, whatever you want to call it, of drinking wine is the fact that the wines aren't the same every year. There is vintage variation, and the cooler the climate, the greater the variation that is. That the wines aren't going to be the same, and I think that's important, and that's part of the fun of it. But what is always going to drive the wines is the vineyard, and so they will constitute the personality of the wines. But the winemaker is going to have a big influence as well. When's he going to harvest? What's the pH? What's the acidity levels? What's the sugar content? What kind of vessel is he going to ferment it in? What kind of yeast is he going to use? How long is he going to put in a barrel if he puts it in a barrel? All those things are certainly going to have an impact on the wine. So you can never discount that. What this is really about, principally though, is getting back to the sort of classic terroir issue, which is we're going to talk about the vineyard, why we do what we do, and in a region that we are getting better at, learning more about, but we are trying to still discover, I think, who we are. I find it curious. I've been working here 12 years. I moved to the region 19 years ago or so. Back then, nobody thought you could grow Pinot Noir. They didn't grow it. There were very few producers of it. And the ones that made it, no disrespect to them, but they weren't terrifically good Pinot Noirs by world-class standards. Now it's a grape that's very predominant. You don't see it so much down here. We don't plant it. It's a little too warm down here. But certainly along the bench, it's one of the more popular red varieties. So apparently you can. Things evolve, things change. And grape varieties that we have planted in our vineyard, a lot of people thought we were kind of nuts when we planted them because they didn't think they could grow here. Well, it turns out they can. So winemaking is a lot of trial and error. A lot of failures, but you never really know ultimately. As much biochemistry is involved in winemaking these days, until you actually try something, you never really know how it's going to turn out. And one of the things I like about this place and working here is the fact that we do a lot of stuff. We do a lot of really interesting projects, many of which fail. But occasionally succeed, and because of that, there's some unusual things that we do, and we're going to try some of those today. So, and a lot of that is related to the vineyard. For those of you who have not been here before, just a real brief overview of the winery. We bought the property in 2000. We've been making wine since then. We opened in 2005. It's the first LEED certified winery in the world, the first LEED building in Canada, which is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It is a sustainability designation. We have geothermal heating and air conditioning and recycled materials in its construction. We treat our own water inside. We have a gray water marsh outside and so on. It's a long list. I won't bore you with any of the details. The vineyard's sustainable as well. We handpick everything. It's 55 acres. We don't irrigate. We don't fertilize. We use all sustainable sprays, principally organic and biodynamic sprays. We have 3 vineyards that surround us. We're not an isolated vineyard, so we can't dedicate the vineyard as such as either biodynamic or organic. Having said that, this section of our vineyard right here is actually 100% organic. We use our own vineyard as kind of a buffering zone. Inside the facility, we have a lot of technology. We have custom-made sorting equipment that's reconfigurable, it's mobile. We have an optical sorter now, and that allows us to hand sort all the bunches, the berries, destem them. We can take the must, the pulp, skin, seeds, and juice directly to a tank because of its mobility. We're a gravity flow winery, which is not unusual, but the way we do it's very unusual. We have 2 elevator tanks. They cover about 3 stories. Our fermentation tanks are usually in the middle of the wall rather than on the ground, and that enables us to get elevator tanks below them and above them so we can move wine across a platform in either direction in what's called a reductive state. There's no oxygen exposed to it. And it maintains stability in the wine. I think it maintains the quality of the wine and certainly allows us to move wine without having added excessive amounts of sulfur to it as well. We have a French winemaker, Jael Group, who's really good, I think.